start. We'll start with the prayer. Om Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amrutam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. You know the meaning, all of you probably. I don't need to translate. Anyway, oh God, lead us from unreal to real. Lead us from darkness to light. And lead us from death to immortality. So we talk about reincarnation. We'll see how we can achieve immortality and avoid reincarnation. Okay. I have a lot of matter to cover. We'll see how much we can do in 1 hour. By definition, reincarnation means, in Latin translation, entering flesh from, entering the flesh again, re-enter. All the Eastern religions, they believe in reincarnation. And they differentiate between the, sorry. Can you hear better?
Sure.
Maybe I speak slow. They make a difference between the body and the soul or Atma. The entrance of a soul into a body is called as birth, and the separation of the soul from the physical body is death. And in the modern language, Paramahamsa Yogananda says that death was the withdrawal of the electricity of life from the bulb of human flesh, containing the wires of sensory and motor nerves for the different channels of outward expression. Cellular death and regeneration is taking place every day in our bodies. For example, some parts of the body are dying every day. We replace 1% of body cells every day. And the stomach lining replaces itself every 5 days. The liver every 6 weeks. Muscle cells every 3 months. But we are not aware, because for the naked eye, these organs look the same from moment to moment. But they're always in flux. From this Diwali to next Diwali, about 98% of our body's atoms are replaced. So we are almost a new person by next year. But we are not aware of it. What is the reason? Anyway, death is only for the physical body. Death is a change of dress. So it's a continuum. As the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. We are only changing the form. Example is, a drop of water becomes vapor, which is invisible. The vapor materializes into billowing clouds, and from clouds, rain falls on earth, forming streams and rivers, and eventually merging into the sea again. Has the drop of water died along the way? No. It only undergoes a new experience at each stage. And in Gita, of course, this sloka is very, very familiar to most of you. Vasanchi jirnani yadha vihaya navani rukhnati naropanani tadha sarirani vihaya jirna yanyani samyati navani dehi. Just as a man casts off his old and wrinkled clothes, similarly, we are taking new shape discard the worn out bodies and put on a new garb. What is the interval between the death and rebirth? It varies actually. It varies anywhere from few months to 100 years. As we see the case, as we review the cases, we will realize how much time it takes. You can judge yourself how much time it takes. Sometimes a few months, sometimes many years. In general, when the children die, they are born very soon, within a short period. Whereas the man who has completed his lifetime, it takes many years for the rebirth. What are the factors that determine? One is, of course, karma. Primarily, two factors decide when the jiva or soul takes birth. The nature of the individual karma and the last impression before death. It may vary from a few months to 100 years. A very sensual individual with a strong craving and one with intense attachment sometimes reborn quickly. Also, in cases where life is cut short by a violent death, suicide, accident, the soul resumes the thread very soon. These are the statistics collected by Dr. James Tucker, who analyzed more than 2,000 cases of children who remember their past. Dr. Tucker was a child psychiatrist and neurobehavioral scientist who worked at University of Virginia Medical School. Briefly say, about 90% of the children say they were the same sex in a previous life as they are now. The median time in his analysis between the claimed death and rebirth was 16 months, so only 4 months. And roughly 70% of the children claim they died violent or unnatural death. And most of the children, they remember the past life incidents between 2 and 4 years of age. And as they grow up, they forget the incidents in the previous life. What are the reasons for reincarnation? One is, of course, the enlightened masters, like rishis. They are out of their will, they are born on this earth to guide the mankind. We see a lot of great people, like rishis and Swami Vivekananda, let us say, they are all born to guide the mankind. They don't need to be reborn, just to help us. We have several reasons. One is we experience the fruits of one karma. It's like a law of cause and effect, or the action and the reaction. We are only evolving from unicellular organisms to multicellular, complex human beings. We are indulged in action every day from womb to tomb. The actions determine the rise and fall in the ladder of spiritual evolution. Every karma produces a result which must be experienced either in this life or in the later lives. To satisfy one's desire, when a person indulges in material pleasures, he or she subsequently develops a stronger desire to enjoy more of it. This unending craving to satisfy one's desires causes the jiva to assume new physical bodies. To complete one's unfinished sadhana, you are trying hard to evolve yourself in the spiritual ladder, and you are incomplete, you are not achieved the liberation, you are reborn again. God gives us more opportunities to evolve further and further till you achieve perfection and liberation. To fulfill a debt, this is important. So before before you depart from this world, get clear all our debt. When a jiva is indebted to another jiva, another person, it gets a human birth to fulfill its debt and receive what is owed to it. The jiva comes in the form of a relative, a friend, or an enemy. As you think, so you become. In fact, Gita also says all these things. If someone is too attached to his wife, and these are all observations after analyzing several cases. If someone is too attached to his wife, naturally he thinks of his wife at the time of death, and in his next life, he takes the body of a woman. Likewise, if a woman thinks of her husband at the time of death, she gets the body of a man in her next life. Swami Vivekananda, it is also again liberation stage, the stage we are going up. To the Hindu, man is not traveling from error to truth. He's traveling from lower truth to higher truth, and not from sin to stardom, because we don't believe in sinners in Hinduism. We're all divine people. In fact, others always address mankind as you, the blessed children of God. But we are not, that's why he says, we are not traveling from sin to stardom, but from truth to truth, from lower truth to higher truth, evolving ourselves till every soul is young eagle, soaring higher and higher, gathering more and more strength till we reach the glorious sun. Then why we don't remember the past? No, we don't remember the past lives. Why? Is it not a boon not to remember the past? Professor McGregor says, one of the greatest mercies is our capacity to forget. Deprivation of memory would be essential to new development and new growth, since it is precisely the burden of memory with all the sense of guilt, all the remorse, all the heartaches from the past that impede our genuine growth in our later years. Mahatma Gandhi also says in one of his letters to Madeline Slade, who was the daughter of Sir Edward Slade, he says, it's nature's kindness that we do not remember past births. Where is the good either of knowing in detail the numberless births we have gone through? Life would be a burden if we carried such a tremendous load of memories. A wise man deliberately forgets many things. Even as a lawyer forgets the cases and the details as soon as they are disposed of. He was a lawyer by profession initially. Yes, death is but a sleep and forgetting. Now about the genius. Genius is born, not made. We know a lot of cases of geniuses, musicians, and scholars, and poets, and whatnot. For example, example we'll discuss later. Each individual soul possesses the storehouse of his previous experiences in the subconscious mind. Each human being goes through a series of reincarnations, reaping the fruits of thoughts, words, and actions done in the past. Just like a staircase, you're going up and up, collecting the wisdom and knowledge in each life. Just like the wind carries away the odors, wind goes through the valleys and rivers and mountains and whatnot. It's not attached to anything. Similarly, the soul carries away the knowledge, experiences we gain in this life to the next one. The virtues we acquire, which develop slowly within us, are the invisible links that bind each of our previous existences to the others. The existences which the spirit alone remembers for Matter has no memory for spiritual things. The endless legacy of the past to the present is the secret source of human genius. Henry Ford was a strong believer in reincarnation. And this is what he says. I adopted the theory of reincarnation when I was 26. Genius is experience. Some seem to think that it's a gift or talent, but it's the fruit of long experience in many lives. So it's a collective wisdom of many previous births. There are many examples, as I said before. Mozart, who was a great magician, he wrote a sonata at the age of 4 without any prior training, and opera in his 8th year. Similarly, there are so many examples. You might have heard about Blind Tom, who was born in Georgia. He was a child of slaves. At the age of 3, when his masters were playing piano in the house, he was able to listen from outside the house, and he remembered everything. And he could reproduce everything, whatever his masters played on piano, though he didn't touch the piano before. And of course, later on, he moved to New York, he became very famous. And I'll just give one example. Shakuntala Devi, probably some of you have read the novel. You might have seen the movie also. Her talents were first discovered when she was 3 years old. Her parents, puzzled by her uncanny knack for numbers, took her to local academics, professors and all, in the colleges in Bangalore. She baffled experts with her incredible ability to figure problems faster than any known computer in those days. In 1977, she outdid one of the world's most advanced computers, the US National Bureau of Standards prized UNIVAC 1108, by figuring out the 23rd root of a 201-digit number in less than 50 seconds, thus winning a place in the Guinness Book of World Records. And she did many things. She toured all over the world. She said it in London later on. To your question out of television on how her ability could be explained, she answered that in India the explanation would be by reincarnation. And she intimated recalling a past life in Egypt. Was he the one for the mathematical basis for the incredible construction of the pyramids? We don't know. And there are many people rich and famous in the world who believed in reincarnation. I won't go into too many details. There are many people like Julius Caesar, Plato, Pythagoras, Leonardo da Vinci, Henry Ford, Mark Twain, our one Missourian, Henry David Thoreau, William Wordsworth, and so on. So Tolstoy, Leo Tolstoy, and Emerson, Charles Dickens, Winston Churchill also. He believed in reincarnation. Okay. Now, what are the other religions which believe in reincarnation? All the Eastern religions, they believe in reincarnation, but the Abrahamic religions, they don't believe. Now, in Greece, ancient Greece, Socrates, Pythagoras, and Plato, they all made reincarnation an integral part of their teachings. Now, Plato, I'll give just one Plato's example. He presented detailed accounts of reincarnation. He held that the pure soul falls from the plane of absolute reality because of sensual desire and then takes on a physical body. First, the fallen souls take birth in human forms. The highest of his is Dr. the philosopher, he was a philosopher, who strives for higher knowledge. If this knowledge becomes perfect, he can return to an eternal existence. but he becomes hopelessly entangled in material desires. He descends into the animal species of life. And Plato believed that gluttons and drunkards may become asses in future lives. Violent, unjust people may take birth as bulls and hawks. Blind followers of social convention may become bees and ants. As serious punishment. Now I'll just discuss only about the Abrahamic religions, because Eastern religions you all know, they all believe. Judaism. Reincarnation is not an essential tenet of traditional Judaism. It's not mentioned in the Tanakh, Hebrew Bible, or the classical rabbinical works. Jewish mystic texts like Kabbalah, they do mention about the soul cycle. Kabbalah also teaches that the soul of Moses is reincarnated in every generation. In the Zohar, one of the principal Kabbalistic texts, it is said, the souls must re-enter the absolute substance whence they have emerged. But to accomplish this, they must develop all the perfections, the germ of which is planted in them. If they have not fulfilled this condition during one life, they must commence another, the third, and so forth, until they have acquired the condition which fits them for the union with God. Joseph has observed that the belief in reincarnation was widely accepted among the Jews of his age. Solomon's Book of Wisdom says, to be born in sound body, sound limbs, is a reward of the virtues of the past lives. So some sections of Judaism they did believe. Now regarding the Christianity, major Christian denominations reject the concept of reincarnation. However, large number of Christians in America, they believe in reincarnation. About 30% of the American Christians, they believe in this. A better proportion of Europeans, they believe in reincarnation. In the 3rd century AD, the theologian Origen, one of the fathers of the early Christian church and its most accomplished biblical scholars, wrote, by some inclination toward evil, certain souls come into bodies first of men, then through their association with the irrational passions. After the allotted span of human life, they are changed into beasts, from which they sink to the level of plants. From this condition they rise again through the same stages and are restored to their heavenly place. And this is an evolution we also believe, actually. Once the disciples of Jesus asked him about the Old Testament prophecy that Elias will reappear on earth. Speaking of John the Baptist, Jesus said, this is Elias, who was or to come. He that hath ears to hear, let him hear. For some unknown reasons, the Byzantine Emperor Justinian in 553 AD banned the teachings of pre-existence of the soul from the Roman Catholic Church, and since then they discarded the concept of reincarnation. Regarding Islam, this is the last of the 3 Abrahamic religions. Reincarnation is not accepted by the majority of the Muslim community. The idea of reincarnation is accepted by a few Muslim sects, particularly of the Gulat, and by other sects in the Muslim world such as Druze. Historically, South Asian Ismailis performed chantas yearly, one of which is for sins committed in the past lives. The Quran says, and you were dead, and he brought you back to life, and he shall cause you to die, and shall bring you back to life, and in the end shall gather you to unto himself. The learned son of Islam declared, I got it from some Chinyananda's book, I died out of stone and became a plant. I died out of the plant and became an animal. I died out of the animal and became a man. Why then should I fear to die? When did I grow less by dying? I shall die out of man and shall become an angel. And Sufism also accepted reincarnation. Regarding Buddhism, of course, Buddha believed strongly in reincarnation. He stressed the importance of right action. He constantly referred to his previous births. Everything has a reaction, a reflection, and resound, and it comes back to us in some form or other. He said, karma is the one which determines our reincarnation. Whether you burrow deep into the ground or fly high into the sky, you cannot escape the consequences of your actions. At the death of one personality, a new one comes into being, much as the flame of a dying candle can serve to light the flame of another. Tibetan Buddhism stretches the state of mind at the time of death. To die with a peaceful mind will stimulate a virtuous seed and a fortunate rebirth. A disturbed mind will stimulate a non-virtuous seed and an unfortunate rebirth. I don't go into the details of Jainism and at the same time and Sikhism, they all believe in reincarnation. We'll go to the interesting part now. Real life incidents about reincarnation. There are a lot of case histories. I selected a few. There are a lot of literature on this. Law Faith Boy, some of you know about it. Beginning in 2004, this story appeared on ABC, Prime Time News, and ABC Good Morning, whatnot, Cleveland TV stations, etc. James was 18 months, 1.5 years old, when his father took him to the Kavanaugh Flight Museum in Dallas, Texas. Parents were surprised to see that Kavanaugh, their son James, fascinated by World War II aircraft and how he kept looking for some time. A few months later, nightmares began for James. They were terrible, terrible. His mother, Andrea, said. He would scream, airplane crash, on fire, little man can't get out. He would be kicking with his hands, pointing up at the ceiling. When James was 2.5 years old, Andrea and James went for shopping and he wanted a toy airplane. Mother said to him, look, it has a bomb on the bottom of the plane. James said, Mother, that is not a bomb, it's a drop tank. She had no idea what a drop tank was. The drop tank is the fuel tank storing the extra fuel in the warplanes. Then on another occasion, she asked him, what happened to your plane? He said, got shot. Where? Engine. Where did it crash? Water. When she asked him who shot the plane, he gave her a look like a teenager. Rolling his eyes, he said, the Japanese. What little kid knows about the Japanese? She asked. He said he knew it was Japanese plane because of the red sun. In October of 2000, James told his parents that another crew member on that fateful day, he told his co-pilot, not co-pilot, another crew member, his name was Jack Lawson, in fact he was alive after the Second World War, after the death of this James. His father, Bruce, was fascinated. He was not a believer in reincarnation when his kid was telling about the plane and all. So he went to the library, collected some books. He was reading a book, The Battle of Iwo Jima, written by Derek Wright. James jumped into his lap to watch cartoons. And James saw the picture in the book his dad was holding. Suddenly he said, Dad, that's where my plane was shot down. Parents' investigation revealed that boy's name in the past life was James Huston. His plane was hit in the engine by Japanese fire on March 3rd, 1945. It went down in flames and sank immediately. There was also unbelievable resemblance between young James and James Huston. His name was actually James Linningus. He was a pilot. This story is written in a book, Soul Survivor, The Reincarnation of a World War II fighter pilot. Now we have another interesting case. I selected from different countries. Jenny Cockle brought together past life children. Jenny Cockle was born in 1953 in rural England. As a child, she described herself as withdrawn and nervous. She used to remember the death of Mary in her past life. Used to wake up sobbing, thinking about her past life children she left behind. In her dreams, she used to recollect her day life, such as making bread, mixing grass seeds in water, sweeping with broom, whatnot. All childhood, her previous life's incidents. Walking to a church in a patchy mended road, waiting for a boat, that was the seacoast village. In her present life, she is married. She kept on remembering till she reached adult age. Usually they forget, children forget after 6 years. In her present life, she is married and a mother of 2 children. She kept remembering all these years that she had 8 children in her previous life, and she would remember the agony she went through for her 8 children at the time of her death. Based on her dreams, she drew the maps of her Irish village. She called it as Malahide. She went to past life researchers and the hypnotics. She was able to piece together many fragments of her memories into a larger picture. She made a trip to Malahide and found out the layout of the village was similar to the sketches she drew. Local church records revealed that there was a lady by the name of Mary Sutton who had 8 children, lived and died in that village. Her past life husband died a few months before her death. Consequently, all her children were scattered in different foster homes and orphanages. With the help of advertisements in the Irish newspapers, letters to churches, foster homes, and historical societies, she was able to locate the surviving children. This BBC followed her regularly when she was going through searching for her children. In 1990, the first child she met was Sonny, the eldest son, who was 75 years old. And now she was born in, if you remember, she was born, you can calculate the timings also. She was born in 1953. Now the eldest son is 75 years old. And she was able to identify 6 children out of 8 who are still alive. And this story was made into a documentary and it was aired on CBS. Actually, there's a lot of videos and documentaries on YouTube about Jenny Cockle. Now we'll go to some fascinating cases. Ian Stevenson. He was the Carlson Professor of Psychiatry at the Virginia School of Medicine. He collected more than 3,000 cases of children who remembered their past. The most extensive collection, he's the one who has done that. He devoted more than 50 years of his life to scientifically documenting the past life memories of children from all over the world, and many cases from India, Ceylon. In fact, there are 7 cases from a tribe in Alaska. He has published a lot of several books. In fact, he has analyzed scientifically, dissected 20 cases, from all over the world, thoroughly investigated. But this one book, this book gives 20 cases of analysis. Every case he documents, he goes to the person by himself, actually, and wherever it is possible, he verifies the documents, autopsy records, checks with the new surgeons who operated on them, and police records. So he thoroughly investigates. For example, there is a case, I will describe one case out of the 20. This is about Swarnalata. She was the daughter of M.L. Mishra in Madhya Pradesh, in India. She was born in 1948. When she was 3 and 3.5 years old, Her father was, they lived in Panna in Madhya Pradesh. Once, her father took her with him on a trip to Jabalpur, 170 miles away. On the return journey, as they passed through the city of Katni, Swarnalata unexpectedly asked the truck driver to turn down a road toward my house. A little later, when the group was taking tea in the town, Swarnalata proposed that they could obtain much better tea at her house nearby. This puzzled mistress. Later, she told further details of a previous life in Katni as a member of a family named Pathak. At the age of 7 or 8 years, she performed unusual dances and songs which she had no opportunity to learn according to her parents. Swarnalata made several statements of her previous life which corresponded with the life of Bia, daughter of a family called Pathak in Katni. She was the deceased wife of Sri Chintamani Pandey, and she died in 1939. Then Swarnalata recognized additional people and places. She also stated after her death as Bia in Madhya Pradesh, she was born as Kamlesh in Sylhet, Assam. In this case, she remembers 2 lifetimes. Usually they remember one life. And she said she was reborn as Kamlesh in Sylhet. If you are following, it's only a few months between each birth. Sylhet in Assam, it is presently in Bangladesh. In that life, she died as a child of 9 and then reborn in Mishra's family. The songs and dances of Swarnalata apparently belong to the life in Sylhet. The language of the songs was identified as Bengali. The language spoken in Madhya Pradesh, of course, is Hindi, and she does not speak Bengali in this life. Dr. Stevenson visited her in 1961, stayed for 4 days to verify all her statements with the concerned individuals. He revisited again in 1971, 10 years later. 2 of her songs were identified as poems by Rabindranath Tagore, was famous Bengali poet, was a Nobel laureate in literature. The text of Swarnalata's songs compared to original words of Tagore's 2 poems showed a close similarity. I'll show the songs actually. Swarnalata case analysis. As I said, Dr. Stevenson thoroughly analyzed each case. For example, these are the statistics of only 1 page. He has 7 pages like that. Whatever statements Swarnalata said, he verifies with the related people, and some, of course, he takes the help by the interpreters of the local language. And on the right side, you see how he has verified all these things and put down notes there. So this is only one of the 7 pages I picked up. And then these are the harvest songs and spring songs in Bengali. She was able to correlate with the Bengali dances in her childhood, and she was only 7.5 or 8 years old. Maybe our Bengali friends can identify that. On the left, you see Rabindranath Tagore's original poem, on the right, Swarnalata's Bengali songs. You know. Yeah, the one harvest song, another is spring song. So it's very interesting. The Mishras did not have any radio or phonograph. There was no way for Swarnalata to learn Bengali songs and dances. Dr. Stevenson corresponded with her through the letters till she became an adult. You saw the previous slide, you saw her actually when she grew up. She studied MSc in botany, became a lecturer, and Dr. Stevenson corresponded with her through the letters. Stevenson retired in 2002 and he died in 2007. Another interesting feature of this Mishra's family is 6 of the 8 children remembered some facts in past lives in one family. Now I'll go to other cases. I don't have time for all cases, but we'll see. Nazaruddin Shah was born in a village of the Shaitanpur district of UP in India in 1962. His family were Muslims. He was born with several birthmarks, of which there was a lens-shaped birthmark on his left chest. When he started speaking, he said that he was a Thakur in his previous life, a Hindu. He indicated that he came from a nearby village called Fargana, and his name was Hardev Baksh Singh. He was killed with a spear during a quarrel over cattle. During the quarrel, one of his adversaries drove a spear through his left upper chest, and he died immediately. The postmortem confirmed the close correspondence location between Nazaruddin's birthmark when he was born and the fatal spear wound in Hardev Baksh Singh. Another remarkable feature of this case is, apart from the principal birthmark, was his Thakur behavior. Although born a Muslim, he considered himself a Hindu. He refused to do menial jobs. He resisted Islamic religion. He would not say Islamic prayers or go to a mosque. Now, we'll consider some cases where the birthmarks revealed previous wounds in life in the previous births. Chanoy, he was born in central Thailand in 1967. He was found to have two birthmarks at birth, one at the back of his head and one at the front above his left eye. He grew up with his grandmother. At the age of 3, his grandmother noticed that when he played with other children, he would pretend that he was a teacher and also would state that he had been a teacher in his last life. He stated that he was called Bua Koi and had been shot and killed on the way to his school. He said he had wife, children, for parents like that. He begged his grandmother to take him to another village, and his grandmother eventually took him to another village where he said his previous birth was. He recognized an elderly couple as his parents, the other members of the family, and some objects belonged to Ruakai. Anyway, he impressed all his, with impressive accuracy, he gave all the details. Now we have this sketch here. This Semil Hoyk is 32 years old. He committed suicide with a gunshot wound. You can see one is entrance, bullet entrance area, another is exit. And you can see the sketch also how the bullet traversed through the head. And he was born with scars in the same areas without any hair, at the entrance as well as exit wounds. So these are all the cases where birthmarks revealed the incidents in their past lives. Now this is another fascinating case. Agbo, Jacinta Agbo was born in Nigeria in 1980. She had the most extraordinary birthmark. It consisted of an area about 3 centimeters wide of pale scar-like tissue that extended around her head. It corresponded to the location to a bandage placed around the head of the deceased person with whom Jacinta was later identified. This person, now she is a girl. In the previous birth, he was a man. He had been engaged in a quarrel during which he was hit on the head with a club. He was taken to University Hospital in Naidu and operated upon by a neurosurgeon in March 1970. Apparently, a neurosurgeon attempted to fix the battered skull bones. Anyway, he died. Here there is a sex change here. Jacinta is a girl in the present life, previously, of course, was masculine, but she had masculine traits. She thought of herself as a boy and did everything that boys do. And Dr. Stevenson went there and verified the death records, talked to the neurosurgeon, and verified all the incidents that happened in the previous life. Now, birth defects of the extremities. Late Paul's left hand was normal, but right hand is he was exceedingly frail, and in the right hand you can see clubbed fingers and absent fingers actually. A woman from another village noticed 8 kilometers away when she visited his family. She said one child died when the child about 3.5 years old, and put his hand in blades of a fodder chopping machine, and the fingers were cut off. And this boy he remembered his past, and now in this life he is born without those fingers. And the train accident, as you know, in India, most of the youngsters, people will be selling fruits and coffee, tea, flowers, all those things in the train stations. Similarly, in Burma also same thing. Mark Twain knew Nevi, who was nicknamed Kalamai. Kalamai means black girl. Because she was dark complexioned. She died of a train accident in August 1966. Now she's born in 1967. At train stops, of course, vendors, they used to sell snacks, etc. The Kalamai and her mother earned a living selling to the train passengers this way. The trains at one station stop on the sidelines beside two platforms. There was a middle line where the express trains go through without any stop. So one day she was selling flowers like that, and she didn't notice the train coming from the other side, and the train driver couldn't stop on time, and the girl was killed and under the train, and her right leg was cut. In this life, but she didn't remember the past life. In this life, she was born with her right leg absent below the right knee. You can only see 2 rudimentary toes. A few more cases. I'll try to go through fast. This one is Sri Lanka. I'll just give briefly. He killed his wife in the previous life. Now he's born as a sort of punishment. There was no muzzle on the right chest, and the right hand was very short and with the clubbed fingers. So is it a punishment? Can criminals be punished because of their past actions? And this is another case. I will be brief. The Marvin Tar, she was born in Burma again. She was found to have severe birth defects of both hands. Several of her fingers were missing or had constriction rings. And there were some depressions corresponding to grooves made by a rope on her wrist. And apparently she was a Japanese soldier. She captured by the Burmese villagers, tied to a tree and burned alive. She showed some unusual behavior. She dressed like a boy, wear shirts and trousers unlike other Burmese girls. She showed behaviors of Japanese traits like food, hairstyle, etc. She would say sometimes, "I am Japanese. What do you think of me?" When members of Japanese War Graves Commission came to that village, she told her playmates, "They are our nationals." This one again, another case. One who lives in Burma, another case. When she was born, her parents observed that she had severe birth defects as well as prominent birthmarks that were on her lower chest and in the region of her heart and in the head. The 5th finger of her left hand, I don't have that picture, was absent. She had constriction rings around the lower parts of her legs, above the ankles, and another particularly deep constriction ring around the middle of her left thigh. When she began to speak, she said that she had been a man called Nigothon, and that 3 men attacked him. They stabbed him in the left breast, cut his fingers, hit him on the head, and they compressed the body by tying the legs back on the thighs. Can you show me that one? Yeah, that's the one. The legs were folded on and put in a gunny bag and threw him into the well. And that's why you can see the constriction marks in the next slide when he was born. And because his legs were bent on the thighs. In addition to her statements, Marvin spontaneously recognized one of the murderers in this life, because the murderer was still there in the neighborhood. He identified him. She showed some masculine traits in her childhood, such as used to wear boys' clothes, etc. Now the next one you may recognize. Some of you probably have read. Princess Diana, is she reborn? A 2-year-old boy, Billy Campbell, in Australia, in Adelaide, Australia, she said she was Diana Princess. And she identified two of her. She said Prince Harry and the other one, 2 children. William. She said that they are my children. And he also said some unusual instances in the life of Princess Diana. For example, most of us don't know that Princess Diana had an older brother. He was older John. He died within a few days after her death. So most of the world doesn't know about but this boy gave all those details when he was 2 years old in Australia. And though he is now 6 years old, he gave a lot more details about Princess Diana, whether we believe it or not. Okay. So that's about Princess Diana. And there's the picture here, the boy with his dad in the present life. Now the last one, we'll try to finish. Kennedy versus Lincoln. It's a fascinating one. There are so many similarities and parallels in their lives. Though born exactly 100 years apart, many consider their lives as supporting the reality of reincarnation. Both of them were elected to the Congress in the year 46, elected presidents in the year 60. Both were shot in the head and were shot dead on Friday. Last names of both contained 7 letters. Both of them lost 1 child each in the White House. Each was the second child in the family birth order. Both had droopy eyes. Both had genetic diseases. At the time of marriage, both wives were 24 years old. Both wives were fluent French speakers. Both wives were sitting next to their husbands when they were shot. Both wives held their husband's head on their respective laps. Lincoln was shot in the theater named Ford, while Kennedy was shot in a car named Ford. Funeral services for both the presidents were done in the East Room of the White House. Both presidents were assassinated by Southerner individuals. John Wilkes Booth, who killed Lincoln, and Lee Harvey Oswald, who killed Kennedy, were born in the year 39. Their names contain 30 letters. Both were killed before the trials. Both the assassins visited their uncles in New Orleans before they assassinated the presidents. Both presidents were succeeded by Southerners, vice presidents by the name Johnson. Andrew Johnson succeeded Lincoln. Lyndon Johnson succeeded Kennedy. Both were born in the year 08, near Johnson City. Both of them died 10 years after they assumed the office of president. And both of them had 2 daughters each. Their fathers worked as janitors. Is it a coincidence? Or is it possible for an individual to be reborn and lead the life to perfect himself? Well, that's all I have. And any comments? Thank you very much.
Anyone has comments?
Any comments or
Questions?
You know, the transgender thing is in the news these days. That could be, is it because the previous birth, a boy comes, that could be explained that way.
I didn't see any literature on that. I didn't see any cases. Maybe it will come up soon.
But it could be.
Yeah.
Anybody?
Reincarnation is true. I myself am a hypnotherapist, and I've done a lot of past life regression sessions on my own. And yes, I've come up with amazing stories of past lives. I mean, nobody dies actually; they just change the form. So it's I would say like what I was in my past life, I know who I was, and I can correlate people in this life who were there in my past life as well. So it's very much true. Reincarnation is true.
You ever had any remembrances of the past life?
I know 7, 8 of my past lives.
Who were you in class?
In this life I'm
Like
born.
everybody here.
In this life I'm born in a Jain family, and in the past life also I was a Jain, but I was a saint.
Were you male or female?
Female.
Female.
Yeah. And before that I was in Egypt, before that I was in Yugoslavia, and I had one life in Brazil as well. And I can relate the stories and characters as well.
Good, thank you.
That's for sure.
The question is, do we know like why reincarnation happens, or it's like, so we know that basically, right now, we are just this part of this, we are just a soul. It's not a part of this body. The soul keeps on, once this life is done, we go to the next, whichever. So, is there an end to it, or kind of, though, in Hinduism we pray, depending on your faith, you reach to the Supreme,
Yeah.
and then there might be an end, there might not be, but, so what is that triggers this reincarnation? Is it like sometimes you might have some unfulfilled wishes, you might be born, or?
I gave a slide
Okay.
why you were reborn. I don't know whether you were here at that
Yeah, I
time.
came a little
Anyway,
later,
the
so.
cycle of birth and death, this cycle goes on till we reach a state of perfection. Then there is no more rebirth. You reach the ultimate, merge with the divinity from whom you came from, that is merge with the divine, and then enjoy the divine permanent bliss. There is no more rebirth afterwards. And we are trying to achieve each janma, with each birth, higher and higher. We are trying to go up to reach the ultimate. That is called as, we call it as moksha or moksha. So that is our ultimate goal. Till we reach that stage, God is giving us more and more opportunities to evolve ourselves and to reach a state of perfection. Okay, then we break the cycle of birth and death.
Dr. Naidu, just a comment. I vaguely remember reading Swami Vivekananda says that we use only 3 to 4% of our brain's potential, and everyone by practicing could go back and learn about their previous births. That's, I don't know if you come across that. Even in India, you can see many of the divine souls. They can talk about what we were in previous births and things like that.
Swami Vivekananda said many times some of the experiences were fast. But he didn't generally avoid those things in his life. Miracles and all these things.
Essentially, if you are reborn with an intention, with the pressure, that is unseen pressure that you should evolve, and then become to a level of no rebirth, right? So it is by your actions. I saw your first, in the initial slides you mentioned it. Depending upon what you do, it need not evolve. You can have involution too. You act like a snake, you will be a snake. Is there any instance anywhere that a lower form, not a human, acting like a human? So it was a human being before, Now it's a cow. And a cow acting like a human being because of the previous birth. There are in the stories, still some instances. That is, because karma, Chitragupta, when we take it, I'm going a little further. Chitragupta is not somebody who is sitting and writing everybody. Yes, there's no one who is going to do it. Chitragupta essentially means Chitra, Gupta. You are writing your own fate. That is Chitra. You are writing your fate, Gupta. You are putting it so secretly to yourself. And so your next generation, you are writing your own. As a human being, this is what we have. So, any instances, because you have read extensively, any instances that an animal behaves like some other animal are a human being.
I didn't see any cases like that. And in the review, I didn't find anything like that. But I know you know already.
Microphone.
You know already how we decide our life in the future, right? By our actions. Either sattvic, rajasic, or tamasic. Sattvic, of course, you reach a higher level next time. It could be angels, it could be demigods, whatever it is. Or if you have done a lot of if you have a lot of unfulfilled desires, you did good and bad, so reborn as him, take a human birth, reborn on this mortal world. Or if you go into tamasic stage, Gita definitely clearly says that you go into the lower level like animals, insects like that. And then we evolve again from there. So I didn't see any case reports like that, animals behaving like human beings.
Just one comment, I'll leave it to you. Christians oppose this. The people who oppose this, they say, once upon a time the population of the world was not more than 1 billion. Once upon a time it's not more than 1 billion. How come you are 7 billion? Where are these souls coming from? That is what their opposition knowledge is. Yeah, I always argued, I could tell something.
Yeah, I don't want to go into those details.
I can answer that.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and
Go ahead.
you want
Okay. As a past
So the concept is there are a lot of souls which are there and they're not coming in the Satyug or so they're there because their time has not come. So so when their time comes, so they all are born here in the Kali Yuga. So they stay in the other ends and wait for their turn to be here. It's not like every single soul has a form, but when the time comes, then they take the form. I don't know if that answers your questions.
Reserves.
Can I try to answer in a different way? Thank you. So, Paramatma, think Paramatma as a huge ocean. Huge ocean. I think Dr. Naidu gave that. Waves. Each soul is a wave. Does it matter how many waves come out of that? We are waves coming out and going back to that ocean. That's it. So we should not count each soul. Okay, today 23,000 souls. What's that? One soul is lost. Hey, what did you hide? It's not like that. I'm coming back to your question about the humans getting lower birth. At least there is one I read. Swami Nigamananda is a divine personality in India, my mother's guru. So he, in his hermitage in the ashram, he had a disciple who did something bad. He cheated the guru, stole his money, did something real bad, ran away. And the Shishya died after some time. Soon, one dog appeared in that ashram. And the dog was very fond of the ashram, never left, very fond of the guru. Always waited for the guru to eat and eat from his leftovers. The dog died one day. facing the ashram. And Guru said he was the disciple. He got rebirth as a dog because of his Guru Droha, cheating the Guru. Now he has gained a human birth again. So this is what I read.
Similarly in Tibet, lot of monasteries, there will be dogs, who are allowed inside actually. Their belief is, if they did something wrong in the human births in the previous lives, they are born as dogs now, and then they will be reborn again, evolve themselves into human births in their later lives. So a lot of dogs you can see in the monasteries, watching the deities, and they allow the dogs inside. So there are a lot of concepts like that. Okay, anyway, thank you very much, and I thank Krishna for making the slides. I can make all those slides. So he did a lot of things.